So we've seen how to modify a specific application using an ADT. Now, if we want further control over how the application is being displayed, we can modify the JSP directly. Now, when we're modifying a JSP within a OSGI bundle, the way, or at least one of the ways we can do so, is with a OSGI fragment. Now let's go ahead and take a look at how to create a fragment. So let's head back over to Liferay Developer Studio. Now before we get started, one thing to note is that fragments are technically deprecated, but it's still a pretty useful tool to know to keep under our tool belt just in case. So let's take a look at how to create a fragment. So just like we've done before, we're going to head up to the top left, selecting File, New, and then Liferay Module Project, Fragment. So little twist there. So Liferay Module Project, Fragment. We have to give this fragment project a name, and we're going to be calling it Announcement, or Announcements with an S, dash JSP, dash override. So announcements dash JSP dash override. Let me make sure I spelled that correctly. ANNOUNCEMENTS. All right. We can leave all of the defaults here, just confirming that Gradle and the server name is the same here. So once you've confirmed all of that, let's go ahead and click Next. Now, when going through this process on your own or in real life, one of the things that we have to find out is which specific bundle, which specific portlet, which specific application are we trying to modify. And so one of the ways that I go about finding out is back over in our Liferay site. If you head over to the options button of an application and head over to the look and feel configuration, this might take a little bit of time, so we'll wait for it to load. So once it does load, here in the look and feel configuration, there's a section called Advanced Styling. And here in Advanced Styling, within the portlet ID, you can find this part right here, right? The COM, Liferay, Document, Library, Web. And you can go even further and you can catch which specific portlet this is. So I would look for this part within GitHub to try to isolate or find the specific OSGI bundle that contains the JSP that I want to override. So it might take a little bit of digging, but heading over here to Advanced Styling to get the name or the namespace of the portlet is pretty useful, pretty helpful. Otherwise, if we didn't go through that, this part here would pretty much feel like magic. And so we're going to be taking a look at the announcements portlet. And so the way I would figure this out, right, is I'd head over to my site page and I would add the specific portlet that I wanted to modify. So let's spell this right. Announcements, just like this. I'd add the portlet to the page, head over to the options button of the announcements. All right, Advanced Styling. And then this is the name of the package, at least. So I would start with this, head over to Google or GitHub, right? Google this and try to find that specific package. Look through our source code to find the specific JSP that I may want to override. All right, now that we've taken care of how to find our specific OSGI bundle, let's go ahead and select it. So over here, I'm going to click on the Browse button right here. And using the wildcard followed by dot, I'm going to type announcements. So announcements.web.jar is going to be the file that we're going to be selecting. So once you have it selected, go ahead and click OK. And then now we can select the specific JSP to override. Again, this might take a little trial and error in real life. So we'll go ahead and click on the plus button, the green one right here. And then we're going to select the browse button here to select our specific JSP. And the JSP that we are going to be selecting is going to be the view.jsp over in the announcements folder. So once you have it selected, go ahead and click OK. And this is going to be the only JSP that we're going to be modifying. So go ahead and click Finish. All right, now that it has finished successfully, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to head over to the Solutions folder. The Solutions folder here within our training workspace, a little bit easier to navigate to. So Solutions, we're going to head over to our Chapter 8 Solutions. And then we're here, Announcements JSP Override. We'll go ahead and expand that out, and we have this whole project given to us already. We'll expand out the source main resources, meta-inf, resources, announcements, and then let's open up this view.jsp. Okay, so we are able to use this snippet of code or this chunk of code to override the whole JSP or the original JSP. So what we're doing here is we're going to add the header or the h2, right, and throw this tag here. And then for maintainability, we are able to include the original JSP, right? So rather than kind of in limbo, if the quote unquote original view.jsp changes, it might give us a little bit of problems, some issues. By including the quote unquote original right here on this line, we're going to kind of create a dependency on this original JSP. So we're basically selecting which JSP is the original. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, I will copy the contents of the view.jsp, and then we're going to close it. So once you've closed the solutions view.jsp, we're going to head over to our announcements JSP override project, head over to source main resources, meta-inf resources, announcements, and then view.jsp. Once we're here, go ahead and highlight everything using Control A or Command or Apple A. You can delete it, and then we're going to paste the contents of the solution that we just had. With all of that, let's go ahead and deploy our announcements JSP override and take a look and see what changes have been made. And so let me scroll through here. Let me try to find it. So many projects. So announcements JSP override right there. We'll head over to build and then double click the build command with our little green icon there. Oh, I'm sorry, we should be deploying. So building, it is successful, but we do want to deploy. So go ahead and double click deploy. It gives us a message of where it's being deployed to, right? And we'll see if anything comes up. So my console did flip over, and then you'll see the announcements portlet has stopped and started. So that's a good sign. So we're going to head back over to our instance of Liferay. I'll exit out of the look and feel configuration. And if you haven't done so already, go ahead and add the announcements application to the page. We'll do that one more time. So clicking on the plus button up at the top right, in the search bar, I already typed it. It's announcements, and I can only add it once to the page since we have the donut or the circle right there. If I have the blocks, then I can add it more than once. So I'm going to refresh the page. I'm just playing the waiting game here for a little bit, letting our announcements portlet re-render, and then you'll see that the H2 that we added is being displayed, and the rest of the original JSP is also being displayed as well. So let's clear a couple of things up really quick before we call this exercise good. You'll notice that a lot of the logistics that I talked about previously, we didn't actually have to go through. So for example, when I head over to the bnd.bnd file and select the source tab, you'll see the fragment host has already been selected. This is thanks to using the wizard. Also, if I head over to the build.gradle, you'll notice there's actually nothing here. So that makes this even more interesting. Right? You see there's no real strong Gradle dependencies here. Right? And so again, the hallmark or the highlight or the main point is we are able to modify JSPs using a fragment or an OSGI fragment. We can only use an OSGI fragment when we're modifying a JSP that lives inside of another OSGI bundle. So this wraps up this exercise here, and we'll be moving on to the next section and covering eventually a new exercise.